continue the conversation here on The Edge. Stay tuned.
Whether it's a dress store on 4th Street, a snacket in Kayon, or a village grocery in St. Paul's, our small businesses play an important role in our economy. By supporting these businesses, you are helping to create or keep a job or two and to revive our economy. Support our local small businesses. Buy local and keep the doors to our small businesses open. This message is brought to you by ZIZ in support of our small businesses across the Federation.
This is my land, my island, our home. The climate has changed, it's becoming strange. We have to come together to keep her forever resilient and strong. We need some stabilization for risk rehabilitation. Come together as a nation for drought and flood mitigation. Development with policies and plans. Let's change our ways, protect our lands. Get involved, every child, woman and man. Island resilience has got the plan. This is my land, my island, our home. It's time to come together to keep her forever resilient and strong.
Island Resilience, promoting a climate of change. The Climate Change Adaptation and Sustainable Land Management Initiative of the OECS Commission, funded by the European Union.
The views and opinions expressed by participants and callers during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements made. Hello and welcome back to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. The phone lines are open. Call us at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. Now, what stood out in the Prime Minister's remarks was the shift in how security is being conceptualized. Instead of treating crime solely as a law enforcement issue, Dr. Drew proposed a public health model, one that views violence and insecurity as symptoms of deeper societal issues or deeper societal illness. It's not a new theory, but hearing it from the chair of a regional security body gives it renewed weight. And notably, he cited what he called encouraging results from his approach, from St. Kitts and Nevis' approach, from our approach, pointing to a near 6-month stretch without a homicide. Now, for a region haunted or often haunted by the scourge of gun violence and youth crime, and as you know, in the region over the years, we have been battling with the issue of guns getting into our borders. And of course, we continue to ask the question, well, where are these guns coming from? Because we don't manufacture guns, as far as I know. But here it is, we have these guns here in our region. And efforts have been made by regional leaders in partnership with other international governments to address this issue. But for a region that is haunted by youth crime and gun violence, a 6-month homicide-free period is noteworthy. But I still believe we have work to do. It does not mean that we take a break and say, okay, we've achieved this milestone and it's time now for us to relax. No. We have to ask ourselves, what else can we do? What else can we contribute as a people? What else can we do to assist law enforcement and the authorities in carrying out their work? Now, looking at the bigger picture, the Prime Minister's comments touched on a number of critical areas: cybercrime, youth, disenfranchisement, trafficking, and even climate-induced insecurity. He reminded the region that instability in one country has ripple effects in another. And as the point I was making earlier, as we were talking about regional integration and free movement. And so here it is, you might have a country, St. Kitts and Nevis might be stable in one area or stable altogether, but there is instability with your neighbors. It becomes a rippling effect. And that is why I believe the role of CARICOM and our regional leaders in to ensure that there is stability across the region and that they're working together for one common good. The interconnectedness of the Caribbean is a reality that we often overlook until crises force us to acknowledge it. And so when something really bad happens, then we remember that we are one. We are one people. We are one Caribbean. For example, whenever we have hurricanes, those Category 5 hurricanes, when they come and they devastate a member state, one of our islands, we come together, which is good. It shows that we support each other. But for me, that should be all year round. Guns move across borders, so do people, so do the networks, the criminal networks, and so must our solutions, our ideas, our initiatives to address the issue. But if we are to be honest with ourselves, regional integration in the security space has long been more talk than tangible. Cooperation is often reactive. Coordination, when it does happen, lacks sustainability. It happens for a while and then it goes off, happens for a couple months, and that's it. We forget about it. So while Dr. Drew is right to call for a better alignment, the question becomes, what will make this time different? What will make this time different? What are we going to do to ensure that we keep our neighborhoods safe? Are we just saying we want safe neighborhoods? Do we like how we sound when we say we want safe neighborhoods? Or are we willing to put in the work to ensure that we have safe neighborhoods, safe communities, safe streets? Because it is hard work. It is hard work. Governments across the region and worldwide have tried almost everything in their book to address the issue of crime and violence. And are still trying. The truth is, there is no specific guide. There is no specific handbook per se. You do it based off of the dynamics of your population and what things that you are most exposed to. That is how you address the issue. And so here we took a different approach, a public health approach. We treat it as a disease, because in reality, it is. It is breaking up homes and families. It is destroying the very fabric of our society. It is contributing to decline in revenue in certain areas. That is a disease. And we must do what is necessary to address this issue. We must do what is necessary to address this issue. But to our law enforcement officers, those of you in the community, our healthcare workers, everybody who played a role, I want to say from this platform, thank you. The work is not yet done, but thank you. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
Whether it's a dress-to on 4th Street, a snacket in Keyon, or a village grocery in St. Paul's, our small businesses play an important role in our economy. By supporting these businesses, you are helping to create or keep a job or two and to revive our economy. Support our local small businesses. Buy local and keep the doors to our small businesses open. This message is brought to you by ZIZ in support of our small businesses across the Federation.
Hey, guess what? It's Radio Market.
Call in and sell your merchandise. You can negotiate and negotiate, give away and trade.
We on radio, internet, and TV.
Like us, share us, and subscribe to
ZIZonline.com.
And remember, we don't sell nothing over $5,000. Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on ZIZ Radio. Call 465-6120, 465-1903, 662-8674, or 718-577-2916. ZIZ Radio, giving back to the people.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge. We'll take our first call for this morning. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Moderator.
Hello?
I've been looking for some time when Dr. Drew, Prime Minister, spoke about crime and health. And I was here wondering, how can he come up with something like that? Because I don't understand. But I decided to look through his philosophy. And I came up with something. And what is this thing? It is to do, to me, it is to do with narcotics, drugs. And if the young people are mentally deranged, it is really adversely would affect our health. So I connect that with what he says. If we are not mentally fit, we are sick. Totally sick. And if we continue to support this kind of thing about drugs, I know some people doing it, well, we're not going to have a healthy society. No. So Dr. Drew is correct in that sense. I looked at it from a point of view of being mentally deranged, we are not healthy. And as a result of that, crime will be committed in all kind of form. Thank you very much, my brother.
Caller, thank you so much for your contribution to the program. It is 11:24 and the phone lines remain open at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. Call us and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm looking at St. Kitts and Nevis's recent participation in the RSS Council of Ministers meeting. And the RSS is currently chaired by our very own Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, who is also the Minister of National Security. And at this meeting, they looked at national or regional strategies, to confront security challenges and issues that we face here in the region as it relates to crime and violence. How do we address this? How do we come up with innovative and transformative ideas where you would be able to see real growth, where you would be able to see real progress? And that was the crux of the meeting. Now, the public health framework for crime isn't without merit. In fact, many criminologists and sociologists have championed it for years. It has been tried in other parts of the world. It prioritizes prevention. It places responsibility not just on police, but on schools, communities, churches, and social services. And so in the past, we would often say, what are the police doing? What are they doing? What is the government doing? But now, we have to add schools, the community, the church, social groups and organizations. And in those areas that I listed, especially in the schools, there's a lot of things that happen which I'll get into. Let's go back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, that's the edge.
Yes, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, host.
Yes, good morning.
Really, with your indulgence, I look at crime, really, especially in these last and closing days, as prophetic events as forecast by the Word of God. Mr. Host, when you look at the world order, you had United Nations under the umbrella of the Security Council for years, had a lot of power and authority in regards to punishing leaders, those who feel that they could do mass killing without any kind of accountability. And the very states, some of these states undermine these important bodies, like the ICC, International Criminal Court. Now what you have here, you look at your television, you see killing, women and children being slaughtered, whether in Ukraine, in the Gaza Strip in Israel, in Sudan, and nobody is being held accountable. And this is what is taking place, whether we want to believe it or not. This is a lawless generation that the Word of God say, when we see this generation, a generation like this, know that the coming of Christ is close at hand. The International Criminal Court, United Nations, the Security Council, they are impotent. And this is serious. It tells us that the only way out of this state of affair in this world, and really and truly it coming down to our nations, it's coming down. to these small islands where people feel like they could kill without any kind of remorse. That is what's happening in Ukraine, in Gaza. Nobody now is being held responsible. The criminal court, the ICC, cannot do their work to bring these persons who've been investigated and found guilty, bring them to trial. They're being undermined by United States, by Russia, and all these big superpowers. But one thing I can say, I'm going to quote a scripture here, Psalm 127. If the Lord does not build a house, the work of the builders is useless. If the Lord does not protect the city, it does no good for the sentries to stand guard. In other words, the security forces around the world, it would be useless. When you take God out of the picture, that people could go and kill, and there is no accountability, we are living in a sad, sad time. Thank you very much.
Nicola, thank you for your contribution to the program. I just received a statement from the Citizen Security Secretariat responding to the first homicide of 2025. The Citizen Security Secretariat expresses its deepest sorrow over the tragic loss of nurse Iselin Pitt, whose life was senselessly taken in an act of violence that has shaken the nation. We extend heartfelt condolences to her family, friends, colleagues, and all those affected by this devastating event. We mourn not only the loss of a dedicated healthcare professional, but also the disruption of a remarkable achievement in our nation's recent history. For 5 consecutive months, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis had recorded no homicides, a feat not witnessed in over 2 decades. This period of peace was made possible through the unified efforts of our government, civil society, community groups, and citizens, working together under a comprehensive community-based approach to crime prevention. This tragedy serves as a stark reminder that we must not become complacent. The safety and security of our people must remain a top priority, and we reaffirm with clarity and conviction that we will not surrender our communities to criminal elements or to violent acts that compromise the peace and progress of our nation. Every citizen and resident has a right to feel safe in their home, in their neighborhood, and in their country. We call on all members of the public to continue partnering with the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force by sharing information, remaining vigilant, and upholding the spirit of unity that has brought us this far. Be your brother's keeper. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. Speaking up could be the very action that protects someone else from harm. We also urge the public to make use of the support services offered by the Citizen Security Secretariat. These include counseling services for individuals and families, as well as community resilience training designed to strengthen neighborhood structures, promote cohesion, and help prevent crime before it occurs. This is not a time to lose hope. It is a time to recommit to each other and to our shared vision of a safer, more secure St. Kitts and Nevis. Across all lines that we have traditionally divided us, political, social, generational, we have proven that when we work together, major successes are possible. Let us honor the memory of those we have lost by continuing to build the kind of society where such losses become rare rare exceptions, not recurring headlines. That was a statement from the Citizen Security Secretariat dated 7th April 2025. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation here on The Edge.
Partner, how you doing? Where you been these days?
I've been on the family land. I cut back all the trees and them and burn the bush and planted some crops. I just here in town getting more fertilizer and a pump to pull up the water from the river.
Wait, so all the bush and the trees gone?
If you see crops, it's like I growing money.
But you use the land stabilization techniques and have approval to take the river water, right?
Approval? The river is on my property and land, is my land.
Partner, the land is still the island. It's all of we have to live here. The soil runoff will silt up the river. The fertilizer will grow weeds and cause flood when season start. Plus the water resources for everyone, not just your crop. You don't realize the climate is changing?
Look, I don't care about all of that. It's my land, my crops, and my water. No one can tell me what to do.
This is our land, and climate change is changing the challenges we face as a nation. Land management technique, water resource protection, and flood and drought mitigation is for everyone who lives on this land. Our island. Be a part of the change. A message of hope from Island Resilience, promoting a climate of change.
This is my land, my island, our home. It's time to come together to keep her forever resilient and strong.
Island Resilience, promoting a climate of change. The Climate Change Adaptation and Sustainable Land Management Initiative of the OECS Commission, funded by the European Union.
Go to islandresilience.org for more information, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Jeff, you leaving already, boss? You sure you could drive after them drinks?
Yeah, I could handle it, yeah. And if too far from here, I'm gonna take my time.
Oh my God, Jeff, you're gone. I told you not to drink and drive.
The problem with drinking and driving is the morning after. Drink responsibly.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Nevis National Council on Drug Abuse Prevention in collaboration with SKNIS.
Whether it's a dress store on 4th Street, a snacket in Keyon, or a village grocery in St. Paul's, our small businesses play an important role in our economy. By supporting these businesses, you are helping to create or keep a job or two and to revive our economy. Support our local small businesses. Buy local and keep the doors to our small businesses open. This message is brought to you by ZIZ in support of our small businesses across the Federation.
The views and opinions expressed by participants and callers during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements made. Back to The Edge. I think we have a call on the line. We'll take this call. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Host, for facilitating me once again briefly. I really call this time to place on my record my sincere and deepest sympathy in regards to this sudden death, this traffic accident, this fatal traffic accident that occurred in recent times. To the family of those who have departed, I want to say, look to God. He's our refuge, He's our strength. A very present time, in trouble, in crisis, such as this, in time in which we are living. And for the young nurse who was, I understand, brutally killed, to her family, your colleagues. I want to say to you, we are living such a time that we have to look up to God. Look up to God, because these are times that the word of God spoken according to Genesis chapter 6, when God had caused to destroy the nation, the world, because of violence and corruption. This is the time Jesus said that would really occur before his second coming. So, be strong, look to God in these times. Look to him, because under his arm is everlasting love, strength. And I can say, really, that the nation of St. Kitts Nevis, like never before, sometimes we have a lull in criminal activity, murder, and we tend to go, and of course we have to rejoice. But I believe we should just give God thanks. Don't even comment about it, because the devil seems that as soon as one opens their mouth to rejoice about the lull in the murder, here he comes. And so I want to say to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, I am a watchman for God watching over this nation, because where there is no vision, the people would perish. And we have to look to God in times like these, because the nation of the world, as I said earlier, there is lawlessness. There seems to be no accountability in the bigger nations to go about and kill innocent people. And perhaps this is what being watched by our young people, when they can see brutality in other countries taking place, and of course, nobody is held accountable. That's a time in which we are living, but I want to say that we have hope. Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, the events that are taking place, surely it's evidence that Christ is coming soon. Donald Trump said 1 minute that he would make peace between the nation, the warring nation, in the first day, a couple of days. Up to now, he said he get angry with President Putin. And the last thing I heard him said, that there's going to be a third world war.
All right.
So,
thank you.
There is no hope in these leaders. Look to Christ. Thank you very much, host.
Thank you, Carla, for your contribution to the program. You're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. As I mentioned earlier, as a region where murders, crime, and violence takes center stage in the sense that, in terms of headlines, whenever there's a murder, we talk about it. We talk about it. It is known. Whenever there's a criminal act, it is known. And for me, if we go, whether it be 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever the case is, if there's a length of time, a period without a homicide, I don't see the issue in saying good job to all who played a part, the community, the police. I don't see it as rejoicing. That's your perspective, and I respect your perspective. But I don't see it as rejoicing. I see it as, in the same breath, we've mentioned when we had homicides. So we ought to mention when we don't have. Because we know how serious the matter is, and we know it is not something that you can address overnight. It is not something that you can fix overnight. And it is not something that you achieve overnight. Of course, this is in no way, shape, or form aimed at forgetting those that we have lost. Absolutely not. Because we have lost quite a number of people. But I believe it is important for us to acknowledge the success that we have made in this area, because there was a time where too often you heard about these things happening. Let's go back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good day, good morning. I'll just very briefly, I wish the authorities who cut down the tree challenges could provide pictures of the evidence of what the damage the tree has been doing to the building.
Yeah, which tree are you referring to, sir?
I'm speaking to an iconic tree in the Stoneford River area that has been chopped down over the past weekends. And all I'm saying, if there's evidence that it is damaging the daycare center, I wish the authorities could put it online so we, the public, can see. Because that is the second iconic tree that has been destroyed in that area in the space of maybe 15 years. And it is very sad because one of the things where I'm asking for the evidence is an area where I'm living, and I am very old. And I've never seen that tree done any damage to the government road. So if it's doing damage, if it's not doing any damage to the road on the left, I'd like to say damage is doing to the building on the right-hand side. It's really sad what has been done to that tree, but thank you very much.
What kind of tree is it?
Somebody says it's a mahogany tree. It's been there since I was going to prep school by Miss Stanley and Mrs. Rogers. God bless their souls. But it's a funny thing. The tree was there before the building. You put the building there, and then I know you're blaming the tree. In many places in this world, you couldn't cut down that tree. It would have been protected. It's probably one of the oldest trees in the Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean. But thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, caller, for your contribution to the program. It's 11:47, and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. Call us at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. Thank you for joining. For those of you who are just tuning in, we've been looking at the St. Kitts and Nevis' participation in the Council of Ministers meeting for the Regional Security System, RSS, and what came from that meeting, and looking at crime and violence in the region and in St. Kitts and Nevis in particular, in terms of what we have been doing and how it has been working, and how it is something that we ought to recognize. We ought to recognize this, because it is not something that was achieved overnight. It took time, it took effort, it took resources. But there are some questions for the region. There are some questions for us to answer. There are some questions for us to think about or to ponder. But before we do that, we'll take a call. Hello, caller. You are on the air. Good morning.
Continue your thought. Question. You're listening.
Sorry?
Continue reasoning, man. I want to
right. So the questions that I would want for us to ask ourselves is, what happens after the headlines fade? Will our governments allocate consistent funding to social development initiatives, or will they revert to the comfort of quick fix crackdowns? Will police forces be retrained, not just in tactics but in community trust building? Will our ministries of education, youth and health be brought into the security conversation in real and measurable ways? And perhaps most importantly, will citizens be invited to play a role in shaping what regional safety actually looks like? And to some extent, we've seen that a lot here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Mm-hmm. Serious question, serious consideration. serious things to be implemented. Yeah, brother, here you okay, we're going to start with the call of before. Cutting down of trees is a serious thing, you know. Especially trees, you know. We want to plant more trees. And the whole is land we got where certain trees can take up and certain trees going. We need to do that, you know. And trees are carried and them kind of regulations in the war. You see, if we know what we're doing, but as the person make a point, say, it's strange. Them come with the tree, do what they do, and then want to blame the tree. You know. Anyhow, we hope that they get attended to and going forward, you know, we'll do concerns. This is security. Yeah, if security is not collective, it's not going to be security. It must be collective security. That's which means, you see, the social services, everything else we talk about, that you wish to see going forward, be implemented. Everything, a wholesome vibration, all in one for all of us together. Yeah, the point I make about the inclusivity. You see me? If we now put them things in place, you know, to be like, we're changing that we're not going to work. And we give thanks. We give thanks that, you know, it could have been worse. Yeah, we just had a large extent of the rent. We just had a time of the day. We noticed the nice stuff. And things, you know, here, you know, the gunshot. We noticed nice. And we noticed the road thing. It's our death, you know, it's our death, you know. And this is not a pleasant thing. This is not a pleasant thing. You know, we find it strange how people tenaciously embrace it. Me have to dead. Me have believe. I mean, like me live about children. Children is talking about getting all of things. I'm saying that thing question. People tenaciously embrace. And then now, we religious people. We have a Bible, guide by a Bible. And the Bible says, the Bible is not about life or death. And the Bible is not senses. No, the wages of sin is death. Yes, the Bible says death. The gift in a steady, you know, go on. But the gift of the Creator, the gift of God, is only life. So we find it strange. So people now can necessarily embrace the gift. But they do so with the wages. And even in the Christian faith, in which most of our people say, the Christian faith teaches that you have to get the wages, you have to get in order to get the gift. You know, strange, very strange. But security is a very important thing because of our earth. Because of our earth, so it's not really earth, you know. It's the people in it, that's the world thing. It's not the world. It's the people in it. Because earth good to go, you know. So the cock still a you ever read about cock crowing in the Bible?
No.
You ever read somebody that thinks it's Christ tell people, you're going to deny me before the cock crunch twice, you know. And Peter deny him. It's Peter, I think so. And the cock crow. Yeah, and still a prayer.
All right.
You know some type of prayer in the background. So creation remains the same. Is the inhabitants of creation, especially the human species, that have earth running as it is. Not just in saying the needs. So talking about the whole world, you know. So we have to think globally, you know. Even though we're in this now 68, 36, you know. We have to think globally. Now regionally with the security thing, I think we are small enough to make security be collective, which means we take care of what we have to take care of. For every somebody who born. You see me? We include all of we in the same boat. And in so doing, the harmony will be in the square right now, and they were throwing it across up and down, 2 and 4. Yeah? People who are not born, so them just come and visit them, right? And we are thinking about people now who born here, right? But not the same human being. Because then people there who are walk both where them come from, you know. Them got them struggles also. But you see, basic necessities for human liberty, it's all right with them. So we have said that within our 6836, whatever the population is, everything would be IRA. And that is all part of collective security. Everything should vary for each and sundry, and that is the most important part of collective security. Collective security.
Okay, caller, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Give thanks to the time.
Yes, thank you for your contribution to the program. It is 11:55, and you've been listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. As I close the conversation, I want to ask this question. What kind of region do we want to be? What kind of region do we want to be? One that chases criminals after the damage is done? Or one that invests in people before the damage ever begins? One that builds fences, or one that, as the Prime Minister put it, builds bridges? There is no magic bullet. But perhaps if we truly begin connecting the dots, not just in word, but in action, we'll get closer to the Caribbean we all deserve. Until next time, you guys, stay safe. Continue to enjoy the rest of your Monday. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Coming up at noon is our midday newscast. Stay tuned.